Hi everybody, welcome along. Hopefully what I'll be showing you in this video is how to dismantle, maybe make a few repairs, make customizations to a standard Xbox One controller. Now this particular version, I think it might be the second generation of controller. It's the one with the headset socket in the bottom, because the original first ones didn't have that. This one also has the plastic surround over the top there, so I'm sure it's the second generation, and I'll be showing you that as I take the thing apart. Well, let's get on with it really. If you need tools for the job, you can get packets of tools from various online retailers. Usually you need the one screwdriver type to open the case itself, and the other smaller screwdriver to open the circuit board inside, or take the circuit board off inside. I'll show you that as we go. They're sort of a star-shaped drive. They're called Torx. They've got a little dimple in the end of them because I think they're called Torx Security, to stop people from using tools that they don't want you to use to take their equipment apart, I think. So, yeah, if you're happy about cracking open a plastic case and taking out a few screws, it should be pretty easy to do. I'm fairly ham-fisted. We'll see what I sort of make of it. Here we go. The sizes are, it's a T8 size tip on that one, and the T6 size tip on that. You can get kits with the screwdrivers in, and little plastic prying tools for popping the case open as well. Let's have a look at it then. So battery cover comes off, and be aware that inside, one of the screws you need to undo is underneath that sticker there inside the battery compartment. Just a thought, if your controller is still under warranty, bear in mind if you do break the sticker, you've invalidated your warranty, so it's worth just keeping that in mind. What you need to do though is you need to take these side panels off, the handles here. To do that, some sort of plastic prying tool. It can be a bit fiddly, so bear with me whilst I try and get the case to crack open. Wedge your little plastic tool under the edge. Oh, why is it not going under there now? It was dead easy earlier on when I did this, and as you can see I've already modified this one. That's not going to go under. I'll try that one there. Get it under the little edge of the plastic bit. Come on, you want to pop open, don't you? Right, that's that bit popped open, and that under there. Oh, there we go. I'll leave that there for later. Okay, what's next then? The other side, here we go. Let's get that to pop open there. Come on, out you come. That's partly opened, and that's popping open there, and there it is. So that they come off like that. As you saw, the first one popped off quite easily. Right, what's next then? So what we've now got then is the one screw in the middle, and you've got one there, one down in there, one down there, and one there. So there's basically 5 screws you need to take off. You need the larger of the 2 screwdrivers that come in these sets to take these little screws out. And what I do is I take out the screws and put them in a little tray or something like that so I don't lose them. Now this one earlier on gave me a bit of grief, this particular screw. Is it going to do the same now? Because I've got a feeling. There we go. A little bit loose. Get hold of him. Put him in there. There you go. Right. Excuse me. Nothing more exciting than standing watching somebody take a few screws out of something. Is feel free to skip on a little bit if you want to. Let's have another look then. This is screw number 3. Get in there, and screw number 5. Right, what's next? Get out. There we go. So they're in there. So that's those 5 screws taken out. One there, one there, one there, one there, and one in the middle under the sticker in the battery compartment. What should happen now, as you can see, I've already customised this one with metal joysticks and the silvery trim across the top and the bumper buttons and the case and that sort of thing. But if you're only replacing the case, for example, just the front panel, take those screws out, the front panel comes off. How cool is that? Put that to one side. Underneath there you've got things like the spinning motors there for the vibration and stuff. The joysticks themselves, I'll show you that now. If you wanted to swap the joysticks and the front cover, you can do that now. Basically all you do, grab hold of them and you pop them off. They just pull off. There's the joystick underneath, and there's the thumbstick to go over the top of it. This is one of the original plastic ones, and often the parts you buy as custom parts, they're exactly the same, just different material really. I'll pop those off though, put them out of the way. If you wanted to replace those, you can do, and then reassemble it, and there you go, you've got your custom controller. But what I want to do is take the back off as well to show you what's inside the back of the thing, because I'll show you what you can do to replace the headset socket. I can also show you how you could replace the actual joystick mechanisms and the little bumper buttons as well, because sometimes if they break you might need to replace those. Okay, what you need to do with the back cover then is I hold the top by the triggers and by the top panel there, and pull that down at the top there, and you need to disengage where the headset socket and that other little socket is there. So it can be a little bit fiddly for a moment, but providing you get those to disengage, pull that down with my thumb there. I hope you can see some of that on camera there. There it goes. Once I've disengaged those from the headset socket, the whole thing will drop away, and it leaves the battery terminals in place. They just drop through a hole when you reassemble it later on. So there's the actual controller now disassembled. Little handy hint here is that these spinning motors here for the vibration, they're actually loose and they could drop out now. So what I've done sometimes is I just put an elastic band around those just to keep them in. But it's up to yourselves really. What can we do now then? Well, once that's open, it gives you access to the circuit board on the back, and there's a smaller circuit board inside the centre of it there as well. Now if you're needing to replace something like one of the joystick mechanisms inside, they do need a bit of soldering, as do the little bumper button actual contact buttons themselves. Now the bumper buttons, they are hiding under there. Where are you? What you'd need to do is identify where they are, because when you click them, they're basically pressing down onto a tiny little button like that. Tiny little thing like that the bumper buttons press onto. And what you'd need to do is identify on the circuit board the 4 little pins and unsolder them to pull this thing out, and then replace it with one of these. There's no way I'm going to get to show that on camera really, because they're basically hiding up inside, and they can be right tricky things to get to. There's no way I'd be able to show you those on camera. If it's the joysticks you're needing to replace, again, if you're any good at soldering, if not, maybe get somebody to do it. What you've got there is a similar idea. On the back of the main circuit board here, you'd identify the little pins on the replacement joystick, and where those pins come through the circuit board, you need to remove the solder to get that whole joystick mechanism to come out the top. Then you drop the new one into the little holes that are then uncovered by the solder that you removed, and then resolder them on the back. You might need to drop this circuit board off to do that, to get that joystick out. It might be a bit fiddly getting it out through the hole that's presented to you there, but I'll show you how to get that off in a moment. Here we go. So that's a couple of jobs you can do with a bit of soldering. Can be a bit fiddly, and if you're not great at soldering, maybe get somebody to do that for you. But something you can do without any soldering, if you've got a dodgy headset socket, you can replace that without any soldering at all. They look like this, and what you've got there, headset socket on a little sort of a block shaped thing, and its little spring feet on the bottom that make contact, and all that does, it drops into the controller, and then the circuit board goes back on top. No soldering needed with that one. That's easy to do. In fact, this controller, I've just done that the other day, so I'll show you how we do it. For this you need the second screwdriver, because you've got this circuit board here, the little headset socket here, and the circuit board is held down by 2 little screws. One of them is just behind this motor here, and one of them is just behind this motor here, and there's enough slack on these wires to drop this circuit board away and be able to get underneath it without actually removing it completely. As you take the circuit board off, there's a little edge connector under there that disconnects at the same time. You just pull that out and it will just disconnect. It is literally as easy as that. Shall I show you? Shall I show you how easy that is? Yeah, why not? Here we go. If you're getting bored watching me just take a few screws out, then do feel free to skip on. Let's have a look now. So there's the little screw coming out. They are slightly smaller screws as well than the other one, so make sure you tell the difference between them. And there's the other little screw down in here, if I can get hold of it. Excuse me. This little screw comes out. There it goes. The circuit board, if you can't quite get it with your fingernails to lift it up, get like a plastic prying tool or something like that underneath it. But what will happen is that circuit board will now, I might try my thumbnail, it will now, I'm trying to be careful so I can show you on camera at the same time. There we go, there we go, the little connector disc engages. Come on, here you come. Maybe I wanted to use the plastic, but there we go. I'm trying to show you on camera whilst holding it at fingertip length sort of thing. But there we go, there's the little circuit board, lifts up, and you can get to the joystick on that side to take that out if you're unsoldering it. And like I did promise, the headset socket itself, it just drops in to its position there, and these little feet, they make contact on the circuit board when you clamp it back down again, screw it back down again. So drop the headset socket back in, and it just drops into place. It sits there pretty firmly, you can't move it. It moves about, of course, it's not clamped down yet, but you can feel that it's dropped into place. It drops onto its own little sort of seating area. And then lining up the circuit board exactly with the little plastic pegs that guide it into position and things like that. And as you press it down in the middle here, because that's where you've got that little, you feel that click there. The little connector down there has made contact. Everything is seated in place. Squeeze it down gently, and we are ready to put the screws back in. There you go. So that's how you can replace the headset socket. A couple of screws, lift it up, take that out, put the new one in. There we go. Right, here comes another boring bit where you see me put a couple of screws back in now. Isn't this great? Like I say, if you're getting bored watching me put a couple of screws in, skip forward. If I can not drop this thing on the workbench. I'm going to try and get that into the little hole now. Whoop, come here. Into the little hole there. Get in there, you little screwy thing. There we go, and screw them down like that. I hope I didn't go off camera then when I was waving this thing about like an idiot. Let's have a look now. The next one then, I'll drop it on the end of the screwdriver. These are slightly magnetic screwdrivers, which does actually help as well. And then I'll drop that little screw into there, like that, and then screw him up like that. And as you screw them up, I just give it a little squeeze like that to make sure that it's flat along there. So we know that the edge connector inside has made contact. So that's how you swap out the headset socket. I did that one the other day, and this was the one that broke basically. You plug a headset in, it just doesn't work. Sometimes you jiggle it and it works, sometimes it doesn't, so I swapped it out and it works now. The other thing you can replace then, without any soldering needed, is the bumper buttons and this assembly on the top here. Replace the original black ones with these silver ones. And what you basically do, I don't think I'm going to do this on camera because I remember doing this, and there's no way you're going to get to see this while I'm fiddling around with it because I'll have my hands all over it. But this plastic panel here, you have to lever it up underneath and then lever it up at the back at the same time, and the whole thing will clip off and come off. If you do that, just bear in mind to not misplace the little button in the top. So the little motor's dropped out there, that's why I often put an elastic band around those just to keep them in place. And there we go, put them back in. Yeah, the little button in the top and the home button on the front, it's easy for them to drop out and to sort of get misplaced. Just have a look how they're sitting, and all you do is you sit them back in position, and then that thing will clip back over the top afterwards. When you've got that piece of plastic out by prying it and lifting it away, it exposes on this particular model this kind of shoulder bumper button. It's all one piece of plastic, and the whole thing relies on the hinge being the plastic bendy bit just there. I don't like that myself. I can't help but thinking that they designed that to be a sort of a point of failure, so you end up buying replacement controllers. Well, why do that when for just a few quid you can buy a whole packet of replacement bumpers with tools to do the job for literally a few quid. And I've repaired at least 2 of our controllers in our household over this last 6 or 12 months or so, because they're getting quite well used these days, aren't they? Okay, so that's that then. Once the bumpers are in, you drop that back in place and it will hold them down in the middle there. So there's a few things you can do on these controllers without needing soldering. Replacing the piece of plastic there, the little panel, the bumpers, you can replace the thumbsticks, and you can replace the headset socket. With a little bit of soldering, you could easily replace the motors with the little wires there, unsolder those, replace them, solder the new wires back in. And when you find where the ends of the bumper buttons are, there's a little, you have to take the bumpers out, I think, to see it. There's no way I'll be able to show you that on camera, because underneath there are the tiny little buttons there that you can unsolder and replace for the bumpers. Like I say, I'm a bit, now that I've got the thing out and having a look at it, I just know I'm going to get to show you that on camera because they all hide inside. Okay, reassembly then. I'm going to put the back case back on and I'll just check everything's where it should be. The circuit board's back in, ready to go. So the back case, then what I do, I drop that in, drop the sort of the bottom end in, and I keep hold of the triggers at the same time, because what I try not to do is let the triggers catch the plastic case, otherwise they kind of get pushed out rather than dropping into place. But what you want to do is keep the triggers in like this, as well as getting the little sockets there to drop into their recesses again. And once that drops in like that, the back case should just easily drop into place and the triggers aren't being snagged by it. We're pretty much ready to put the front cover on, apart from your chosen joysticks or thumbsticks. You might want to use the original plastic ones, These ones are sort of a gunmetal grey. I've got sort of gold coloured ones. I've got all sorts of different coloured joystick thumbsticks. And all they do, a little hole inside, they push onto a little joystick like that. Give it a bit of a click. That one there, just get it the right way around so it lines up. Oops, get it lined up. Come on, get it like, oh, that's right, there we go. Hadn't lined it up. Give them a little click to make sure they're seated in place. Make sure those are seated in there, and we're ready for the front cover. This is the exciting bit now, again, isn't it? Watching me just put a cover back on and put some screws back together again. But that's it, basically. You put the front cover on, put the 5 screws back in, clip those back in place. It is literally the reverse of what I've just done. So I'm not going to bore you too much watching me put a few screws back into a controller. I mean, you saw me take it apart. It's easier to put it back together again, to be perfectly honest with you. Right, if you've liked the video and it's been of use, what have I covered? Well, a very brief recap then. You can take the front cover off, you take the panels off, take the 5 screws out, front cover comes off, you can pop the thumbsticks out dead easy. You don't need anything more than that. Replace those, drop the front cover on. If you take the back cover off as well, you can easily pop out this piece of plastic panel here to access the I actually lifted that up earlier, didn't I? To access the bumper buttons, to replace those and replace that panel as well. I've replaced mine with silver. If you've got the back panel off as well, you can access the back circuit board, and again you can swap out the headset socket without the need of soldering. That's an easy enough thing to do. It just drops in place, you screw it back down. Soldering jobs you can do, if you're a bit savvy at soldering, is replacing the tiny little bumper buttons with its tiny little pins, 4 little pins on the bottom of that you need to find underneath the bumpers and solder back into place, and then the bunch of pins on the underside of these joysticks, you unsolder them, take it out, drop the new one in, solder them back in. That's that one. They're a little bit more fiddly jobs. Then the assembly is the reverse order. Once it's all ready to go, I find it absolutely brilliant, the fact that you can just take the 5 screws out and change the front cover and the thumbsticks. I've done that with just about every controller I own in the house, I have to admit. We've got all sorts of shapes and sizes, colours and patterns of controller now, and they look pretty cool. This one is sort of a gunmetal grey sort of effect with the silver finish on the top there. There we go. So, what do we make of that? Hopefully learned a few bits and pieces on how to maybe customise or repair your controller. My thoughts on that is, have you seen the price of replacement controllers? If something goes wrong, why not spend a couple of quid and repair it yourself? You've nothing to lose in a sense. If the controller's dead, it's dead. If you can fix it, you can fix it for a few quid. And as you see with my ham-fisted hands, it can actually be not too difficult a job. It's just those soldering things that might be a bit fidgety. I'll stop babbling. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a share, whatever happens on these video channels online and all that sort of thing. I just thought I'd put this on there because I thought the number of times I've replaced and repaired bits and pieces on these controllers, I'm thinking it might be useful for people to see just how easy it really is. So if you've liked it, give us a like, give us a share and all that sort of stuff. Apart from that, thank you all very much. Have yourselves a great day now. Bye bye.